Well, Taylor, I'm going to go back to you because you mentioned the quote, let's own the summer. That's what the PGA Tour is looking to do with the new schedule. What does that mean to you?
I think it means after the U.S. Open until when the Open Championship is that the PGA Tour is going to hit major markets and try to have massive tournaments that really stick with the public, given that the NBA season is over, the NHL season is over, it's before the NFL starts. With all due respect to Major League Baseball, it's really an open spot on the calendar. And I think Brian Rolapp, the CEO of the PGA Tour, wants to capitalize off of that. I think he also looks at the fact that 3 of the top 4 markets in the United States do not have an annual tournament. And I would be shocked if the PGA Tour isn't going to play in New York, in Chicago, and in Boston for 3 markets as an example on an annual basis. I would think Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. would be strongly considered as well. It's going to be interesting to see, though, guys. Do they ask the Open Championship to move back a week or two so that they can have even more time between the U.S. Open and the Open Championship to capitalize off of this before you go overseas and play in the final major of the year? But I do think that those things are on the table right now, and it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, the summer is very important, Todd. The start is also very important. There's been speculation that maybe the WM Phoenix Open should own that week off between the championship game and the Super Bowl. Even Wyndham Clark sat on our desk in Phoenix and mentioned that possibility. Do you see that having some momentum, maybe using that as the kickoff event of a PGA Tour season?
Yeah, Damon, you and I are on the same page as Wyndham Clark. I think that is a great opportunity. Don't start after the Super Bowl. Start the week before the Super Bowl. Give fans a look at what this season is going to be like and why you should be tuning in and own the summer, as the Tour and Taylor were talking about. I think that is the sweet spot for the PGA Tour because there is, it's a free weekend there. From a sports perspective, and to launch your season and make it a big deal too. Make it opening day and give fans something to look forward to post Super Bowl. I think that would be the play by the PGA Tour.
Now, Todd, I'm going to stick with you. You are on your way to this week's Genesis Invitational in Los Angeles. Of course, that event had to be relocated last year because of the fires that devastated that community. What do you think it's going to mean to have that event back at Riviera?
I think it's going to mean a lot. I think there's going to be a big charitable component. Tiger's going to have a press conference tomorrow. There's going to be, some talk about coming back to the Riviera and the Pacific Palisades after everything that happened. I think it's going to mean a lot to players in the field from Southern California. Tiger is from that area, of course, but the guy who won yesterday, Colin Morikawa, J.J. Spahn, those guys who grew up there in SoCal and knows how important the tournament at Riviera is to the community and to the world of golf. I think it's going to be a very big deal. And we're going to talk about it before we get into the heavy competition that starts on Thursday. But let me just say, this rain needs to go away. I am done with it. Thank goodness we didn't have Armageddon that I was told was going to happen on Sunday. But it's going to be wet now, this atmospheric river. I've got my paddle and I got lots of Gore-Tex. I'm ready to go.
We're going to speak to Mike Antolini, the tournament director, in a few minutes. Maybe he can do something about the weather. Not sure he can. Taylor, how about you? This 2-week stretch, as a native of Los Angeles myself, a native of California, I think there's something special about the Pebble LA double dip, just in terms of a golf course aesthetic and architecture standpoint. What do you think about this 2-week stretch that we are embarking on?
I love it. I love Pebble to Riv, and chances are, like we talked about earlier, one or both of them is going to move to a different date. But I think that the PGA Tour has a ton of momentum when they go from one of these places to the next. And to your point about Riv, Damon, this had to be 6-7 years ago, but I asked 10 different players on the PGA Tour to rank their top 3 courses on the tour. Augusta National does not count, by the way, as a PGA Tour course. Riv was number 1. Wow. Muirfield Village and Harbor Town were 2 and 3, but Riv was number 1 if you combined all of their votes together. I think everybody just loves the strategy that's involved, the natural amphitheater that you have around the 18th green. I can't wait to see the Olympic stage there in 2 years. It is great to have it back for all the reasons T. Lou just said. And I also love the T. Lou walk-in talks that we'll get to see at Riv as well. Big fan of that.
Travis Kelce last week for a walk and talk. Very impressive,
good.
Todd. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And you had your Gore-Tex on. You were sporting it well. I want to get one quick thought.
I looked very small. I looked very small, by the way.
As we all would after next to that monster of a man. I want to get one quick thought from you, Todd, on the West Coast swing. You've been out there for most of the West Coast swing. What are you going to remember?
Well, with the exception of this week, we've had great weather for sure. But we've had some great champions. I mean, we've had some really proven winners. One guy in Chris Gotterup, who's an emerging star, it seems like, on the American and world stage. I think we've had some great champions. And if I know you guys were talking about Scotty Scheffler, but he is not coming out of the gates quietly. And after what we saw yesterday, what he did, coming back from nearly winning the tournament from 8 back, I think he is going to be a powerful force. He has established some footing here. He is playing with so much freedom. I'm looking for him to win 4, 5, 6 more times this year for sure. Get ready for a Scotty Scheffler show. Once again, we're used to it by now.
6'7".
Sure.
That's right. Yeah,
No, I like that.
Sorry.
Thank you, guys. Todd, make sure you enjoy the atmospheric river at Riviera.
I will.